Chapter 4. Slide. It's a regular Peyton place, I thought. And it was. Everyone in Los Banos, California, population considerably under 10,000, knew everyone else. And everyone knew what everyone else was doing. In a high school of 690 students, that meant everyone knew who was joyriding and having sex with whom. Those were the main preoccupations for the majority. I was in the majority. Jeff was good-looking, a football player, and he had a car. He was persuasive. Susan, you're crazy. This is a whole different time. Things have changed. His left hand caressed my neck and shoulders. His right hand tightened around my waist. You can't stay pure all your life. I laughed within. Pure? Who's kidding? But aloud I said, well, I could try, can't I? What's wrong with wanting to save yourself for the right guy? For your husband? Oh, come on, he chuckled. You sound like my mother. That's for their generation. If you lose your virginity, who's ever going to know it? You might as well enjoy it now. And everybody else is. I lost my virginity that night to Jeff during a party at an older bachelor friend's apartment. And I was quite drunk. My sexual purity was about the only thing I held on to after my mother's death. At her graveside that day, nearly 2 years earlier, with absolutely dry eyes and stony face, I turned loose of everything that I had clutched to my being. I will not cry, I said inaudibly. It won't bring anything back. They can all go to hell. All of them. All of humanity can go to hell. God can get lost. I was cold and alone. Our move to Los Banos, with my dad and my brother Steve, was just one more step into bitterness and loneliness. I had resisted because of my friends in San Jose, and a boyfriend too. But Dad was having trouble holding jobs, it seemed. I had no other options, for the moment. Dad, Steve, and I moved into an apartment complex, and I drifted, drearily, into a life of loathsome schoolwork, cooking and cleaning, and moral chaos. Guilt stabbed at me because of my inability, my unwillingness to handle responsibility. It's not fair that I have to do all this, I said aloud one night, as I wiped crumbs from the tiny table that Steve and I had eaten our supper from. Why do I have to do it? Why can't he do some? He was my father. As on so many nights he had not come home. He was drinking somewhere, trying to wipe away the memory of my mother's death. I finished the dishes, looked at Steve in front of the television set, and went out into the darkness. If he can drink all night, I can too, I muttered angrily. On the sidewalk in front of the A&W root beer stand, 3 of the guys and 2 girls were ready to go. Anywhere. So off we went. After a while of purposeless driving, I asked to be let off on the outskirts of town, where the bars were. For the next several hours, I hopped from one bar to another, anywhere I could charm the bartenders into serving me. Dad never went to the outskirts. He would never catch me. I hated liquor, but I learned to force it down for the sake of a good time. Sweet drinks when possible, grasshoppers, screwdrivers, stingers. It was better than being alone. I had gotten my first taste of the lush life even before that, the summer after my mother died. Bitter, angry, and rude, I agreed to go stay with Aunt Ethel and Uncle Bob down in Whittier, and in the hope that I might find a new spark of life. Kindness flowed in Aunt Ethel's home, but I twisted it into opportunities for wild parties and the first steps toward alcoholism, which seemed to plague my family. The famous Southern California beaches weren't far away, and they were loaded with boys and girls. The bartenders were easy prey for my conning talents and ability to look older than I was. It was my junior year in high school. Things seemed out of control. I had taken a job at the International House of Pancakes in Los Banos. Good work, one of the best jobs available to women in the town at that time. It helped fend off the deterioration at home, but added another strain to my overstretched life. My homeroom teacher handed me a note one day. It was an instruction to see the dean of women that afternoon. "Susan," Mrs. Edgeworth said, "I want to talk to you about your future." I sat stonily, unblinking. "We have spoken to you about your schoolwork. It's getting worse and worse." I maintained silence, looking down just below her eyes to make her think I was staring her down. "And now," she went on, "it looks as though you'll have to repeat your junior year next year." "What else is new?" I heard my voice speaking inside of me. "You're nuts if you think I'm coming back here." But aloud I said, "Quite frankly, Mrs. Edgeworth, I don't plan to be back next year." She raised her eyebrows and pursed her lips. I went on. "You see, I'll be 18 before school starts next fall, and I'm going to leave school to take a job." It was her turn to be stony. Several seconds passed in silence. "You're making a serious mistake, Susan. You'll regret it all your life." For the first time, I smiled, bitterly, arrogantly. "I know things have been hard for you this year," she continued. "I know you've been under a heavy load, but to quit now is all wrong. You have a good mind, and you could build a good future. You could start by turning things around next fall." The smile, bitter victory, stretched my face. I shook my head, slowly, back and forth. "Thank you, Mrs. Edgeworth, but I've already made up my mind. I'm leaving." I rose from the chair. "But who knows? I may try it again sometime." The next move, I thought, as I walked out the door in the hallway, is to get free at home. I've got to get out of this. I've got to get out on my own. In the hallway, I was cold, even in the spring warmth. I was cold and lonely. I ran as hard as I could, but my feet were heavy. They hardly moved as I tugged and strained to get them off the ground. As I dreamed, I saw doors everywhere, dozens of them, all white doors. I couldn't see behind me clearly. Much of the place, the wide, sandy desert or wilderness, was dark, cloudy. but a huge black sheet billowed and flapped noisily behind me, like the sound of bats in the night. It was close to me as I fled from door to door. I knew it would smother me, but I couldn't get into any of the doors. Their golden handles did not turn in my hand. Groaning, I tried to turn the handles, but my hands were weighted and numb. I couldn't clench them tight enough to turn the handles. Each of the doors remained shut as I raced up and down the shrinking area in front of them. I pulled and scratched with my fingernails on their shiny surfaces, but they wouldn't move. The flapping grew closer and louder. I tried to scream, but nothing would come out of my opened mouth. I suddenly heard Steve calling to me. He seemed to be behind me, but I couldn't see him. Then I heard a sobbing sound. Long, deep sobs. It was my father. Where was he? He was behind me, too, but I couldn't see him. I must find them. I could hear my voice. But if I turn back, I will die. The billowing sheet was behind and above me. It was closer. I'm going to die, my voice said. I could feel the billowing sheet. I swung quickly to look at it. Who was waving it? Somebody's there. But it was a gray mass, a form, shapeless. Who is it? Who are you? I tried to scream again, but nothing came out of my mouth. The doors. I must get into the doors. It will be safe there. I threw myself against one, but it was like concrete. I crumpled to the ground, and the monstrous black sheet closed over me. I'm dying. I'm dying. Steve, Daddy. I stopped breathing. I lay awake in the single bed in my tiny room. I yanked the cool white sheet off my face and breathed deeply. My heart pounded wildly, and I was drenched in perspiration. But my entire body, stiff in the bed, was freezing. I was all alone. Late in the summer, I moved out of the apartment and into a room in the home of a little old lady. The rent was cheap and close to my work at the Pancake House. In 3 weeks, I turned 18, quit my job, and headed for San Jose. Back to the city and freedom. Steve would be okay for the time being. Dad could drink all he wanted, too, and who cared? So could I, and who cared?